Hello and welcome to this All Saints Catholic School 6th Form Subject Information presentation. This subject is law. At All Saints we study the AQA exam board. There are 3 exams at the end of your Year 13 studies. Each exam is worth the same number of marks and there are no coursework requirements in this course. So what will we study in A-level law? Well, the syllabus breaks down into 4 main areas. The first one with which we start in Year 12 is the English legal system, where you will find out the different sources of law in this country, the various legal apparatus that has been set up to adjudicate legal disputes, the variety of people and roles involved in resolving legal disputes, and also how people pay to gain access to these tribunals and court systems. Once we've finished those topics, we'll move on to criminal law, which will take up the rest of Year 12 and into the beginning of Year 13. This will be the topic you're probably most familiar with already from TV and films and possibly newspaper articles as well. We will learn about the various offences that involve injury to individuals but not death. We will look at murder and other homicide offences. We will learn about theft and robbery, and we'll also learn some of the various defences that might be available to you if you found yourself in the dock, which includes self-defence, duress and intoxication. In Year 13 we carry on to looking at the laws of tort and contract. Tort mostly concerns when an individual has been caused harm and they are seeking a redress, usually financial, in the form of compensation. You'll probably be familiar with the phrases no win, no fee, and the idea of compensation for when you've had an injury that's not your fault. Well, they are both relevant to the law of negligence, and we're also looking at other torts, including nuisance and occupiers' liability. In contract, you may not be familiar with the idea, but you're certainly familiar with their operation, because every time you buy anything, you are entering into a contract with that retailer. We will learn about when and how contracts are formed, various terms that make up contracts, and also how contracts can be discharged, either through breach of contract, possibly frustration or performance. A-level law is assessed in 3 2-hour exams in the summer of Year 13. Your first paper will be on crime, your second on tort, and your third on contract. The English legal system topics that we study in Year 12 are spread out across the 3 papers. Each paper has a maximum mark of 100, and of those 100 marks, 75 of those are for the substantive law and 25 are for the English legal system. So for example, on paper 1 there'll be 75 marks available for criminal topics and 25 marks available for English legal system topics, meaning that across the 3 papers 25% of the marks are for English legal system, and then 25% of marks are for each of the 3 substantive areas of law. It's very difficult to describe a typical lesson in law, so I thought it may be useful for you to see a typical sort of question that come Year 13 and possibly the end of Year 12 as well, you would be tackling in class. So this is what's called a scenario question. The majority of the questions in your exams would be based on a fictional scenario in which you have to apply your legal knowledge to the facts given. This one is a criminal scenario, and if you pause the video and read through the scenario, you'll see there are a number of participants and potentially a number of crimes committed, and you can see at the bottom you need to discuss both Ellie's criminal liability and Beth's criminal liability. Now this would be a half-hour question, so within this you'd be expected to outline the law on this area, which is non-fatal offences, so you have the victims being injured but not killed, and then you'd have to apply that law to the facts to see whether or not Ellie and Beth have broken the law. And in that you'd also have to discuss a possible defence, because when you read it you will see that Beth acted in what appears to be self-defence. So you've got a number of different offences and a defence which you'd need to both outline and apply to this scenario. Now this would be the culmination of many weeks' work to get to a situation where you'd be confident answering this question, but it gives you an idea of the problem-solving nature of A-level law. You will be taught what the law is, but in an exam you'll be faced with a scenario that will be unfamiliar to you, and you will have to puzzle your way through how to apply what you've learnt in class to the new unseen scenario. If solving puzzles is something that appeals to you, then you're more than likely to enjoy the kind of logical problems that law will pose. Here are some quotes from some current Year 13 A-Level Law students. If you are interested in studying A-Level Law or keen to find out more, I do recommend seeking out either Year 12 or Year 13 students to see how they're finding it, and I'm sure they'll tell you exactly what it's like from their perspective. Going on to study law at university may seem the obvious pathway to choose after A-Level Law, but it's certainly not the only one open to you. The skills you would learn at A-Level Law would be transferable to many other social science subjects, and I have students who've gone on to study politics, psychology, geography, economics, as well as studying law. Not everyone does go on to university. There are routes into the legal profession that avoid going to university, and I've had at least one student who's gone on to become a legal assistant with the idea of eventually becoming a solicitor through the non-university route, and that is something that may be appealing to you as you avoid university fees and start earning from day one. A couple of students from a few years ago have now graduated from their law degrees and are now embarking on their training to become solicitors. So there are a number of ex-All Saints A-Level Law students entering the professional legal world now, and they've obviously enjoyed their first experience of law with me and have decided not only to study at university but then to follow that profession, and they will start their jobs in 2022 after a further year of practical training. So there's plenty of options open to you, and you never know, this may be the start of a long and potentially lucrative legal career. You will receive all the resources you need to be successful at A-Level Law in class. However, for those who want to read around the subject and who may be keen to go on to university and study the subject in more depth, there are a number of resources out there that are freely available that will enable you to delve deeper and find out a lot more than what we cover in A-Level Law. Two I recommend are, first, a radio programme on the BBC called Law in Action. There are plenty of programmes in the back catalogue which are available on the BBC Sounds website, and there you'll hear a whole range of legal topics, both historical, international and domestic. Many of them are way beyond the syllabus of A-level law, but if you're interested in law, you will undoubtedly find it interesting to see just how important law is and how widely the effects of laws can be felt in different areas. The second resource that you can access is the legal section of the Guardian newspaper. Unfortunately, the Times legal section is behind a paywall. Nonetheless, the Guardian's legal section will have regular news stories of up-to-date topical legal matters which you may find interesting, and again may well relate to what you've been studying in class that week, or possibly may go way beyond what you'd study at A-level law, but will show you the potential topics you could study if you were to carry on your legal education at university. If you do have any questions about A-level law and want to find out any more information, please feel free to email me on the address at the bottom of the screen.